from Nashville, Tennessee. It's the Three. And here's your host, Laura Harris-Smith.
Hi everybody, I'm Laura Harris-Smith and welcome to The Three. The hills are alive with the sound of music. Now, you know that song comes from The Sound of Music, the Robert Wise 1965 version Rodgers and Hammerstein film starring Julie Andrews and Christopher Plummer. It's always been a favorite of mine. I'm sure it has been of yours as well. And the other day, I had it on in the background like an old friend, as I often do while I'm working. And all of a sudden, I had this thought. And it was to Google, are there any Von Trapp children still alive? Well, I did that, and it turns out there are. Captain Von Trapp and Maria, of course, you know, Captain before Maria, he had 7 children, but then after her, where the movie really leaves off is them getting married, they went on to have 3 more children. To my utter shock, the Von Trapps are in Vermont in the United States. That's where they landed eventually when they left Austria. So we are coming to you from Stowe, Vermont at the Trapp Family Lodge. It's a 2,500-acre lodge and home with hundreds of rooms. We were actually planning a trip anyway. As this happened to me, we were planning to come to Vermont, and I mean, we just changed courses and made a phone call to the lodge, and you're going to be in for a treat on this episode because we've actually scheduled an interview. We have a sit-down interview with a member of the Von Trapp family, Christina Von Trapp. She is the daughter of Johannes Von Trapp, and he is the youngest of the 10 Von Trapp children. We're going to be showing you a lot of the lodge in this episode, and a special treat with the actress Kim Carruth, who played Little Gretel in the 1965 movie, The Sound of Music. This family is full of hospitality, but they enjoy having you come and visit them. And that's what we've done this weekend, and I cannot wait to introduce you to their place, and now to the granddaughter of Maria Von Trapp, Christina Von Trapp. Listen, Christina Von Trapp, it is such a joy to sit with you. Now, I want to just give a little bit of reference for our viewing audience. Maybe they have seen The Sound of Music and they know that Captain Baron Von Trapp, he has these 7 children. His first wife, Agatha, had died. So what the movie does not show after Maria then enters his life and she becomes a second mother to the children is that they go on to have 3 more children. And your father, Johannes, is the youngest of those. So this family legacy actually includes 10 children. 10. So then you are the granddaughter of Maria Von Trapp.
That's correct, Laura. That is correct, and that's a lot of memorization and dates that go into that. But you're right. So my dad is the youngest of 10 total kids.
10 total.
He and his older 2 sisters were born after the movie.
Okay.
So they're not portrayed in the movie. But yeah, so Maria is my grandmother.
And this town, this is Stowe, Vermont. How many people are here?
Yeah, Stowe, Vermont, I think we're maybe 4,500 people,
so
4,000.
Okay, how did the Von Trapps get to Vermont? Tell us that really quickly.
Right, so they first settled outside of Philadelphia for a couple years, and they were invited to come to Stowe to stay for the summer. And because Philadelphia was so hot and humid, they jumped at the chance. So they stayed locally at a place nearby, and they said they knew they wanted to buy land. They knew there was value in land. And what they found here in Stowe was that it really reminded them of Austria.
Well, see, so when we were driving up yesterday, I had heard that, and when we were driving up yesterday, having never been to Vermont, I thought, how can that be possible? And it does. When you are driving up that hill, it looks so much like what I've seen in the Austrian skyline. What I was saying was, and I should have phrased it this way, how did the Von Trapps get to America? So in the end scene, you see they're hiking up over the mountains, you know, and into the Swiss Alps. They're trying to escape. And there's Germany right there. Like, you know, you can't, so I figured something's a little off with this, but the way the story goes is it wasn't some escape in the middle of the night. They were used to taking family hikes. So they walked out the front door and across the train tracks, correct?
Yeah,
and then got on a train, several trains, made their way to Italy. What happened from there?
Yeah, so you're right. They stayed in Italy for a few months because Georg had a pension from being in the Navy. So he could draw from his pension. They could stay in Italy and they were safe. Mussolini and Hitler didn't have a pact yet that he could that he could extract Italian citizens. So they stayed in Italy until they organized steamership passage fare from Italy to England and then from England to the States. And that had to be advanced to them because they had no money.
Right.
And it was advanced because they already had singing tours set up.
Okay. So providentially, even though there was a great money loss and sacrifice that came with leaving everything behind, they come here and destiny is born.
Yeah.
I mean, really.
You know, they actually had lost a lot of their money before they fled. They were bunking in rooms together. They were taking in boarders and doing a lot of their own work. The Great Depression was worldwide.
That's true.
Yeah.
So then they, as you said, to come to Philadelphia, it's too hot. They make their way to Vermont. How then, I'm thinking this was 1942, if I remember.
They came over, they came over in fall of 38. My dad was born January 39 in Philadelphia. He's the only one that's born here in the States. And then they moved and they bought this property here in Stowe, Vermont in 1942.
Okay, 1942. And when did people just start coming? I mean, did you just hang out a shingle? Or how did they accomplish that?
Good
I heard it was
question.
quite organic, like people just started coming and they had to start charging.
Yeah, that's exactly it. It just one of those things that just falls into place because they were touring fall, winter, and spring, and they would have the summers off to work here in the gardens and work in the fields.
Okay.
So when they were touring, they were telling people, oh, we have this beautiful place in Vermont, you must come visit us. And people just started coming, and at first it was very casual. It was like somebody coming to your house. You know, maybe they help with the cooking and cleaning, and maybe they don't.
Oh my goodness.
But by 1950, they were more popular. More people were coming to visit, and downhill skiing was a lot more popular. Stowe Mountain Resort and Mount Mansfield was one of the first downhill ski areas in the country. So by 1950, there was a better clothing, better equipment, and people were staying longer periods of time and needing beds to stay in.
So then before I ask you my next question, I have to, since you mentioned skiing, before this interview, you went skiing this morning.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you just do this like people get up and go have a cup of coffee, you go skiing.
Yeah, and I'm going to go back this afternoon as well.
So you are the activities director. I mean, I know you're also, tell us what you do here, first of all.
Anything. Literally, like anything from picking up trash to bussing tables and hosting. But my role is PR and marketing, and I oversee our activities center and tours.
Okay.
Because people come to our property looking for information about the family and what to do on our property. And whether you're staying in one of our hotel rooms or guest houses, you can come and take one of the tours, a maple sugar tour, or go meet the cows to learn more about what we do here.
Tell us something that you remember about your grandmother, Maria von Trapp.
Yeah.
I mean, she died, you were 17.
I was 17.
Yeah.
I think, when I look back on it, her correspondence, she really kept in touch with a lot of people. She, after the family finished singing, she gave a lot of speeches, college, commencement speeches or talks at churches. She was very gracious. But then, this is something my dad would say as well. When she was done with something, she'd be done. She'd be like, I'm done. I'm going to walk home. I'm going to walk and go be done. But she was always so gracious to people and took time and really, I guess this is one of the things. When I recall when she took time to be with you, she was very present and would look right at you and listen really well. Yeah.
She was in the moment. Yeah. So no doubt she was a good writer and she wrote books, and that's really the springboard for the movie. So tell us about that book that she wrote, the first one.
Right. So she wrote, because when they finished singing, people still kept asking her so many questions. So she said, "Oh, well, I think I'll write a book, and then then everybody can read the book and stop asking me questions." But so the story of the Trapp Family Singers she wrote, and then she sold the play and movie rights to that for $9,000, and the play came out in 1959, and then the movie came out in 1965.
And she had, by that point, because she had sold the rights, then those rights were sold to Rodgers and Hammerstein, I'm assuming.
Yep.
And so there was no more money to be made of that.
Right. The worldwide recognition. Maybe nothing in the bank, but worldwide recognition is huge.
I mean, where I'm from, we call that bragging rights. You know, I see the providence in all of it, in your family coming from where they did to the States, having to depend upon the singing, which would become so much a part of their future. I love how you said in the talk downstairs that you got the Austrian skiing genes, not the Austrian singing genes. But no doubt it became a part of that legacy and a part of, just even the story itself. But then also in looking at how after that, the land, the lodge, it's a continued legacy that people like me, and we're going to tell the viewer where they can go as well, and how to find it, that they can come and enjoy it. So had there been millions, had there been, who knows where you all would have scattered, where they all would have scattered. It's a lovely story. This was one of the most exciting interviews I've ever done, and it's not over. We've got so much more, so be right back after the break.
I'm ready. It's orange. Yes, I'm ready. Get food! I'm ready. Get my time. You're happy. In my bathtub. Happy face. I just.
What's your name?
Anyway, that's you. I'm a bubble. Ah! I got one. I hold it. Happy face. Big green, you went the big green, you went the big. It went the go in the wind. There we do. I got it.
Hi everybody, welcome back to theTHREE. I'm Laura, and we are at the Trapp Family Lodge. That's right, the Von Trapp family. You've seen them in The Sound of Music, and that's what this episode is dedicated to, is their family lodge. I'm in Stowe, Vermont, and we have had the privilege of sitting with Christina Von Trapp, the granddaughter of Georg and Maria Von Trapp. So here's the end part of that interview for this show. We're going to go to a part 2 for next week, but for right now, enjoy the rest of today's interview with Christina Von Trapp. So who is buried on the property?
My dad's family.
Okay.
We have a lovely little private cemetery. The captain was the first to be buried there, and then Maria is there also, his wife, and then the kids. Hedvig, Werner, Rupert, Maria, Rupert's second wife, Jan, and the one child that's not, 2 children are not buried there, Eleanor and Johanna. And Johanna's buried in Vienna, Austria, where she raised her family.
Okay.
Yeah, but it's a lovely little cemetery, and it looks very European.
And now I am here with Bob Stafford. Bob, tell us, welcome to theTHREE. First of all, tell us what you do at the Trapp Family Lodge.
I'm the activities director here at Trapp Family Lodge. I've worked for the Trapp family for about 12 years in all various capacities, but this is a fun job. Yeah.
So right now he's taking us on the grounds. Is it 2,500 acres? How many is it?
2,600 acres. Yeah.
Okay, 2,600 acres, and there is a plot of land dedicated to a cemetery, and much of the family is buried here. Tell us what we're about to see.
You don't find too many resorts that have their own cemetery, and people kind of wonder, is this an Austrian tradition? It's really a Vermont farming family tradition. The state statutes allow you to have your own cemetery if you'd like.
Really?
Yeah, the Baron died in 1947, and when he died, the family said, oh, we'd much rather have him here than to go down to the village cemetery. So that's when they started the cemetery here.
Wow, well, take us inside.
Yes, we'll go inside.
Come on.
We are in the family cemetery. This is not only the Baron's grave, it's also Maria's grave. Maria died 40 years after the Baron. She never remarried. She died in 1987. The Baron, they don't talk about it really in the movie The Sound of Music, other than that he was a captain, but he was one of the most famous submarine commanders of World War I. The early submarines that they had were lined with asbestos, and so a lot of those sailors developed lung cancer, and that's what he died of.
That's what he died
of 1947.
So then explain to us that Maria is in there as well.
Yeah, so Maria died again 40 years after. She was actually cremated, and that's why so they just added her ashes to the grave.
All
Yeah,
right.
that's why. But this is the marker here. The family wanted to have markers like they were accustomed to in Austria. So these are coming from Austria. Now you'll see a marker there that says Maria von Trapp. A lot of people think that is Maria the Baroness.
But the captain's one of his daughters
original
was
daughters.
Maria.
So in the movie The Sound of Music, they changed all the names of the kids from their original names because one of the daughters' names was Maria, and they thought that'd be too confusing. So now we're just confused in the cemetery when people come here.
In the cemetery now.
So now
Maria, the novice nun, who became Maria von Trapp, she actually didn't come as a governess to all the children. She came as really a tutor to, was it Maria, the one that was sickly?
The daughter,
she
Maria.
was sick, and so Maria tutored Maria and then got to know all of the children, and we tell the rest of the story. We end the talk yesterday. You did a great job on that. So that is interesting. So now she was sick, but she went on to live to be how old?
99 years old. She was an amazing woman. I got to know her a little bit, and she became a missionary. She was a missionary in Papua New Guinea on the other side of the planet for over 30 years.
I want you to take us to the tree. There was a very special planting that happened at one of the ceremonies here. So let's go over there.
Okay. The Trapp family was invited to the Making of the Sound of Music in Salzburg. And
They met the cast there then.
Yes, they met the cast. Yeah, they got to know the cast. And the boy that played Kurt in the movie, the younger boy, his actual name is Dwayne Chase. And Werner von Trapp saw this young boy essentially playing him and wanted to do something nice for the boy. So he took off his Austrian jacket and placed it on the boy. That boy, Dwayne Chase, never forgot this kindness. And when Werner passed, Dwayne Chase got the cast members that played the kids to all come here for his funeral. They planted this little apple tree as part of that service, and there's a stone with a plaque dedicated to Werner from the cast members from The Sound of Music.
Bob, thank you. I know why they have you working here, and I know why you give the talks, because you're a wealth of knowledge.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you. It was my pleasure, and thanks for coming on such a beautiful day, too. Yeah, thank you.
We could have been out here in the rain. It snowed yesterday. I went to interview the cows, and it snowed a little bit. Oh, yeah. Yeah, they would pay me no attention. Literally, I went up to talk to one, and I had this mic, and I said, do you want to be on my show? And literally he goes, and looks away.
Oh, thank you.
Oh, thank you. Excuse me, I was just wondering if you want to be on my show.
Not interested.
I don't think he's interested. Bye.
Neuromatics Oil is a family of therapeutic-grade patented oil blends created by nutritionist and author Laura Harris Smith. Invented for her own lifelong journey for neurological health, Quiet Brain now helps those worldwide who suffer from insomnia, migraines, anxiety, seizures, tremors, and more. Quiet Brain contains oils like frankincense, myrrh, lavender, sandalwood, and others. Next, Happy Brain is a bright mood-lifting citrus blend and contains oils like lemon, lime, clementine, spearmint, and more. Users say it combats depression and even aids in weight loss. Next is Sharp Brain, Laura's Focus Blend, also used to improve cognitive memory issues with oils like coffee, cinnamon, vanilla, clove, and others. Each $69.95 bottle is a 10-week supply if used daily, or about $1 a day. And right now, buy 2 bottles and get the third one free, and get a free eye mask using the promo code on your screen at neuromaticsoil.com or at 1-855-784-3827. That's 1-855-QUIET-BRAIN.
I'm naturopathic Dr. Laura Harris Smith, and if you'll give me 10 days, give it to God and go to bed can help you stress less, sleep better, and dream more. There are even links inside to my free 10 Days to Deeper Sleep and Dreams program and 10 Goodnight videos. Can you close your eyes and just still listen to me? The whole book takes place in your bedroom, and with chapter titles like The Junk Under Your Bed, The Treasures in Your Bedroom, and The Monsters in Your Closet. Give it to God and go to bed helps you learn to rest and hear God speak in dreams. Take back your sleep and dreams, my friend, with Give It to God and Go to Bed. You know, I never imagined when we started all of this that I would wind up having the opportunity to interview one of the child actors from The Sound of Music. But that's exactly what happened. I reached out to Kim Carruth, and she said yes. You're going to love this interview with her. She played Gretel in the 1965 movie, The Sound of Music. Listen. Kim, I am so glad that you're joining us here today. We've been trying to plan this, getting y'all set up with you, and here we are. I am just tickled pink, no pun intended. You know, I have on the pink dress, but I am. It is a joy to finally be able to sit and talk with you. How are you today?
I'm good. I'm glad that we've got this all set up and we're all ready to go. It's great.
You know, I have in my episodes of the Von Trapp family, went to Vermont, to the lodge there. And so I'm pulling you in just to discuss the role of Gretel. The role, it was not your first film. My goodness, one of the things that I have discovered in all of this was that you had a long resume by the time you got to The Sound of Music. So how old were you, first of all, when you filmed The Sound of Music?
I was 5 when we started filming.
Okay.
And I had my 6th birthday on the set.
And I've heard that was a big deal. I know there were certain rules, things that 5-year-olds could not do on set that 6-year-olds could contractually, correct? I mean,
mostly it was spending time on set. The hours were limited. Under 6, the hours were more limited. So everybody was very excited when I turned 6. And personally, I was excited because my mother had promised me that I could go to the bathroom by myself when I turned 6. I did not need her to accompany me for every trip. Wow. I think she was afraid I would be kidnapped or
something
whatever.
Like that, yeah.
So something like that. So I had my personal, motives for being very excited about turning 6. But for the set, for the production, it was extremely welcome because then I could work as many hours as the other children.
Well, you had done, I think, 3 movies by this point. I did my first television commercial at age 3. You did your first movie at age 3. And was that with Henry Fonda? Who described?
It was a movie called The Spencer's Mountain with Henry Fonda and Maureen O'Hara.
Yes.
And it was actually Earl Hamner's novel, who was responsible for the Waltons. It was basically the film that led to the Waltons. Wow. Much later.
Okay, amazing. I saw a little clip and you had your little hands folded and you were praying at the table. I thought, so it's interesting as people who know you as Gretel and you're the littlest Von Trapp, but you tune into this movie and you see a really young Kim. So were you acting before age 3, or I'm assuming, or did you just jump right into feature films?
Well, the story is sort of a silly one. I was kind of a natural performer, mostly I think because I had a brother and sister who were 15 and 16 years older than I was, respectively, who were wonderful performers themselves, and they sang and danced, and my mother sang, and my father was always doing Greek dancing. So it was I grew up in a super happy, very exuberant, sort of extroverted household. And I fit right in, and it was lots of fun being the youngest because I would clown around a lot and get a lot of attention. And so I think I was naturally super suited to this. Plus, I had a prodigious memory, some of which I wish I had back because as good as it is now, it's not as good as it was then. And, I actually had no interest in performing out of my house.
Okay.
So my mother had taken me to some commercial interview or something, and I absolutely refused to participate in the whole thing.
Interesting.
And because I was so happy at home.
Yeah.
And I got more attention than I would have needed or wanted. So, and I loved everybody. It was my little audience.
Right,
people.
right.
Anyway, I imitated everything under the sun.
You were the third with an older brother and sister. I was the third with an older brother and sister. They were a decade older than me.
Oh my gosh.
So it's the same I know exactly what you're describing. I don't even remember the first commercial. It's your parents' idea. When you're 3, it's your parents' idea.
Oh, absolutely.
And
it's not your idea.
No, and I don't really even remember it. What I remember and what I really enjoyed were the little plays and skits, and I would write and do costumes and props, and I would do them on either side of doorways so I could do a quick costume change and dart back in, and that's much more exciting than looking into a square piece of glass and saying a line. So that is just fascinating.
I just didn't, I had no interest in any of that, but fate had played a big hand in it. My mother, I think, just gave up. She's like, fine, you're not going to cooperate. And normally I was super cooperative, but I just didn't want to do that.
Interesting.
So I don't know, maybe 3 months later or so, I was sitting having a cheeseburger in my father's restaurant. He had a restaurant close to Hollywood and Vine. Wow. And the story goes, and I heard it from multiple sources, so I know that it's true. A couple producers came up and said to my mom, your little girl's adorable. Would she like to be, what do you think she would do a movie? Would you like her to be in a movie? Blah, blah, blah. And my mother said, you'd better ask her.
Are you kidding? Wow, what a story.
And apparently I said, if it doesn't take too long, because I have a lot of dolls to take care of, and I'm very, very busy. And they were charmed, and that's how I ended up doing the first movie.
My goodness, I cannot. My parents owned a restaurant. And so I was,
they did?
Yes. And so I was told that I would perform. Yeah. I know. I would literally, for tips, I would stand and sing into a wooden spoon. And I'm not a singer. I mean, I'm an actress who sings, but I'm not a singer. And so same exact thing. This is uncanny. It's interesting though, when you have those little platforms, they matter. They all accumulate and they matter. Oh, this has been such a fun episode. We've got another one left to go. There's so much to do here at this lodge, and you see just about everything. You see people skiing, you see people eating and dining, and they have agricultural tours. There's a chapel we're going to take you to next time. It was built by Werner von Trapp up on the top of the mountain. You see it all, including some girls in white dresses with blue satin sashes. So join us next week, where we're also going to interview not just Christina, but we're also going to take a look at some other things around the lodge and give you just the nudge to come and visit them here in Stowe, Vermont. You will not be sorry that you did. All right, everybody, another great episode of The Three. I'm Laura Harris Smith. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye for now.